November 20th, 1943. Betio Island, Tarawa Atoll. Rear Admiral Keiji Shibasaki stands inside a reinforced concrete bunker, 4 feet of steel and coconut logs overhead, and watches the horizon. He commands 4,836 men. He has told Tokyo the island cannot fall in less than a week. Privately, he believes the Americans won't last a day. The island is 2 miles long, 800 yards wide. Every inch fortified. Shibasaki has spent a year turning Betio into what Japanese propaganda calls an impregnable fortress. 14 coastal defense guns, 40 artillery pieces, over 500 pillboxes in firing positions, concrete and coral limestone walls 8 feet thick in places designed to withstand naval bombardment. Between the beach and the interior, a labyrinth of trenches, firing pits, and interconnected bunkers. Steel tetrahedrons and barbed wire entanglements stretch across the tidal flats. Log barricades studded with mines wait beneath the water. Shibasaki has created interlocking fields of fire covering every approach. Machine gun nests positioned so that if one falls, 2 others cover its position. He reads the intelligence reports with satisfaction. The American Marines, the vaunted island hoppers, are soft, spoiled by wealth and comfort. Imperial training manuals say it plainly. Americans lack the spiritual fortitude for close combat. They rely on machinery, overwhelming firepower, material advantage. Strip away their tanks and naval support, force them into the meat grinder, and they break. The propaganda broadcasts repeat it constantly. The average American soldier is undisciplined, accustomed to luxury. Japanese soldiers are hardened by austerity, sharpened by Bushido. 1 Japanese infantryman equals 5 Americans in close quarters. The Marines storming Tarawa, Shibasaki believes, will learn this truth in blood. They will drown in the lagoon or die on the wire. 3 miles offshore aboard the USS Maryland, 2nd Lieutenant William Deane Hawkins checks his flamethrower one more time. Around him, Marines from the 2nd Marine Division prepare to board Higgins' boats. They've been briefed. Betio is the most heavily defended island per square foot in the Pacific. Naval bombardment will soften it first. Airstrikes will crater the defenses. Then the landing force goes in. The pre-invasion bombardment begins at dawn. Battleships and cruisers unleash 3,000 tons of shells in 2.5 hours. The island disappears beneath smoke and fire. Aboard the transports, Marines watch columns of dirt and coral chunks fountain skyward. Someone says it looks like the whole island is being blown apart. They believe nothing could survive that. They're wrong. Inside his command bunker, Shibasaki feels the concussions, but the structure holds. Coconut logs absorb the shock. Reinforced concrete deflects even 14-inch shells. His communications remain intact. His guns remain operational. When the bombardment lifts, his men emerge from shelters and return to their positions. The beach obstacles are untouched. The wire entanglements remain. The interlocking fires are ready. At 0830 hours, the first wave of Marines reaches the reef. The Higgins boats can't cross it. The tide is too low, the water too shallow. Men pour out 500 yards from shore. They wade through chest-deep water, holding rifles overhead, moving toward a beach they can barely see through smoke. The Japanese hold their fire, waiting until the Marines are fully committed, trapped in the open water. Then Shibasaki gives the order. Every gun on Betio opens fire simultaneously. Machine guns sweep the lagoon in methodical arcs. Artillery shells explode in the water, sending up geysers of coral sand and seawater. Marines are cut down mid-stride. Bodies float in the shallows. The lagoon turns red. Some men make it to the seawall, a 3-foot-high barrier of coconut logs, and take cover. Most don't make it at all. Lieutenant Hawkins reaches the beach in the third wave. Half his platoon is already dead or wounded. He sees Marines pinned behind the seawall, taking fire from bunkers they can't flank. Japanese machine gunners are protected by firing slits, barely 6 inches wide. Riflemen shoot from spider holes, one-man fighting positions, invisible until you're standing on top of them. This isn't a battle. It's a killing zone. By noon, the situation is desperate. 3,000 Marines are ashore, but pinned down in a strip of sand barely 50 yards deep. Reinforcements can't land, wrecked Amtraks and dead bodies clog the approaches. Japanese fire hasn't slackened. If anything, it's intensified. Shibasaki watches from his bunker and permits himself confidence. The Americans are trapped. Their soft determination is breaking. By nightfall, he thinks they'll withdraw or die where they stand. He doesn't understand what he's facing. These aren't the pampered soldiers of propaganda. They're Marines who've trained for exactly this nightmare, and they don't break. Instead, Lieutenant Hawkins grabs a flamethrower, stands up under fire, and begins burning out pillboxes one by one. Other Marines follow his example. They don't retreat, they advance. November 21st, 0600 hours. Dawn breaks over Betio and the beach is a graveyard. Wrecked landing craft burn in the shallows. Bodies lie stacked against the seawall. But the Marines haven't withdrawn. During the night, they've consolidated positions, brought up flamethrowers and demolition charges, and prepared to push inland. Shibasaki's confidence begins to crack. Lieutenant Hawkins leads the assault on the Central Pier fortifications. He moves from bunker to bunker, exposing himself to point-blank fire, using his flamethrower to blast streams of burning fuel through firing slits. When a machine gun nest pins down his squad, he charges it alone, kills the crew, then waves his men forward. He's been hit twice but refuses evacuation. The Japanese defenders fight with suicidal determination, exactly as their training demands. But determination isn't enough against Marines who won't stop coming. Flamethrowers turn concrete bunkers into crematoriums. Satchel charges blow open reinforced positions. Marines crawl forward under fire, grenades in hand, closing distance until they're fighting hand-to-hand inside Japanese positions. The brutal arithmetic shifts. By midday, Marines have captured the airfield, the strategic heart of Betio. Japanese counterattacks are savage but uncoordinated. Shibasaki's communication network is fragmenting. His interlocking fields of fire are broken. Individual strongpoints still fight ferociously, but they're isolated now, surrounded, being reduced one by one. The fortress is coming apart. Hawkins continues fighting into the afternoon. He's knocked down a third time, wounded seriously now, but he refuses to stop. He directs fire, marks targets, leads assaults on positions that have stopped 3 previous attacks. His Marines follow him because he never asked them to go anywhere he won't go first. At 1400 hours, a machine gun burst catches him in the chest. This time he goes down and doesn't get up. That night, Shibasaki orders a final banzai charge, a mass assault designed to overwhelm the American positions through sheer ferocity and willingness to die. At midnight, hundreds of Japanese soldiers emerge from bunkers and trenches, screaming, bayonets fixed, charging directly into Marine lines. The Marines meet them with interlocking machine gun fire, mortars, and point-blank rifle volleys. The charge collapses in minutes. Bodies pile 3 deep. November 22nd, the 3rd day. Marine infantry and engineers work systematically through the remaining Japanese positions. They've learned the rhythm now. Flamethrower teams advance under covering fire, blast the bunker entrance. Demolition men follow with satchel charges to collapse the structure entirely. It's methodical, brutal, unstoppable. The defenders have nowhere to retreat. Shibasaki dies in his command bunker, killed by Marines who fought their way through 8 feet of reinforced concrete. His last message to Tokyo claims the Americans are breaking, but it's his garrison that's shattered. Small groups of Japanese soldiers continue fighting from isolated positions, but organized resistance has collapsed. The impregnable fortress has fallen. November 23rd, 1310 hours. 76 hours after the first Marines waded ashore, Betio is secured. The cost is staggering. Over 1,000 Marines dead, twice that wounded. Nearly the entire Japanese garrison is annihilated. 4,000 bodies are counted. Fewer than 20 prisoners are taken. The intensity of combat shocks even veteran correspondents. This is what happens when immovable defense meets unstoppable assault. In Tokyo, Imperial General Headquarters receives Shibasaki's final transmission, and then silence. Intelligence officers analyze the battle reports in disbelief. 76 hours. The fortress that should have held for weeks fell in 3 days. The Americans, who were supposed to break under pressure instead, broke through steel and concrete. Every assumption about Marine softness, about their lack of fighting spirit, is proven catastrophically wrong. The propaganda machine scrambles to explain the defeat. They claim overwhelming material advantage, cowardly reliance on flamethrowers and explosives, rather than honorable combat. But the field commanders know better. They've seen the after-action reports. The Marines didn't win because of superior firepower. They won because when pinned down on a beach under murderous fire, they didn't retreat. They attacked. Lieutenant Hawkins is posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor. His citation reads that he led his men through withering fire, destroyed multiple enemy positions, and refused evacuation, despite wounds that would kill him. But the citation doesn't capture what his actions prove to the Japanese command. That American Marines possess exactly the kind of fighting spirit Imperial doctrine said they lacked. Tarawa changes Japanese defensive strategy across the Pacific. No more illusions about soft Americans breaking against fortified positions. No more assumptions that spiritual strength trumps material advantage when the enemy has both. The Marines who waded through that lagoon under fire, who burned out bunkers and charged machine gun nests, have demonstrated something the Japanese propaganda refused to acknowledge. Courage isn't exclusive to any nation, and determination, when backed by training and firepower, is absolutely unstoppable. The island falls silent except for the wind and the waves. 76 hours. That's how long it took American Marines to tear apart the most heavily fortified position in the Pacific and shatter every Japanese assumption about American fighting capability. The fortress is rubble. The contempt is buried with it.